Welcome back to part 2. If you've stuck to this time, thank you. So I'm going to dive right in. I moved the tip-ins upward a bit because I'm going to cut off the excess net. There was no point leaving that net. I don't know why they make closures and frontals this way, but I just usually cut mine. Then I'm going to take my needle. I already showed you guys how to thread it. I'm going to pass it through the cap and then through the net, just like I'm doing, and then I'm going to pull it out and then go over that same spot again like 3 times so I'll be able to tie my stitch. These frontals these days are very soft, so you have to be a bit light-handed and then strong-handed, if you understand. So after that, I'm going to move to, like, I don't know if I'm gonna call it half an inch, just a little bit from the first stitch. I'm going to pass it through the cap and then the net, and then I'm going to pass the needle underneath one of the thread 2 times. That's the way of tying it, and then I'm going to drag it to tie it. Please watch the video. I do not really do well with explanations, but I'm going to repeat that. That is how we're going to be sewing frontal and bundles. So you're going to pass your needle through the cap, then through the net or the lace, and then you're going to pass it underneath one of the thread twice, and then you tie it. Do you understand? Yes, just watch closely. So as I'm stitching, I'm removing the T-pins, and then I'm going to continue the same process. I'm going to show you another method as well. So instead of passing it underneath the lace, I'm going to do on top of the lace. You're still going to get the same result. It's just the same method. The only difference is the direction of the needle. So whichever one you find easier, you just stick with it. I just go with the flow, and as I'm filming for this TikTok, it was just so difficult for me to film and sew at the same time. At some point, you're going to see me put it in my lap. Sometimes I just do what is more comfortable for me. Okay, so this is what our stitch is looking like. I'm going to stitch until I get to the end, and then I'm also going to cut out the excess lace on the side as well before I continue my stitching. So you see the way I started the stitch by sewing on one spot for 3 times. That is how I'm going to also end it. After I've ended it, I'm going to cut off the thread, and then I'm going to divide it into 2. You know, we have 4 threads. I'm going to divide it into 2, and then I'm going to tie 3 to 4 times to secure the stitch so we don't have any loose end. Okay, after that, I'm going to cut off the excess thread, and then this is how beautiful and neat our sewing looks. Yours might not look this neat, but don't worry, you'll get the hang of it. So up next, I'm going to take my measuring tape. Yes, we use a measuring tape, and then I'm going to pin it just immediately after the frontal, and then I'm going to mark 1 inch each. Yes, I do not do this because I'm already a professional when it comes to wigging, but as a beginner, I suggest you mark your cap before you start stitching your bundles. So I'm going to mark it to the end of the wig cap. The standard number of lines you need for a full head is 11. Some people 12, while some people 10. Depends on how full your bundle is. So after that, I'm going to just use my hand to extend the lines. Just this is basically called guidelines. Is where you're going to place your weft before you sew it. Okay, that's the best explanation I can give. So I'm going to start with the first bundle. I'm going to cut it off, and then I'm going to unravel it. Unraveling it, you have to be really careful so you do not mess with the curls or the texture of your hair. You're going to gently open it and then run your hand through it to like separate it. This particular bundle, they folded it in 6. So when I unraveled the first one, I noticed that it still had 4 tracks. So I had to open it again and make sure I had 2. So I'm going to be sewing double weft throughout because this bundle is a lot. So I do not have to like do like the single weft. After that, I'm going to pass my needle through the weft at the tip of the weft. I don't know if what they call weft is, yes, this place I'm passing the needle through is what is called the weft. So I'm going to pass it through the weft, and then I'm going to pass it through the cap just on the lines we just made. I did not complete my lines because honestly I didn't really need it. So I'm going to pass it through the weft, through the cap, and then back. So I'm going to do that 2 times, just like we did when we were sewing down the closure, the frontal, sorry. I don't know if you get. I'm going to do that twice to secure the bundle on the cap, and then I'm going to use my T-pins to pin it so I have a really flat and nice wig. After I stitch down the first tip, I'm going to move like an inch again after the first stitch, and then this time around I'm not passing it through the weft again. I'm passing it underneath the weft and then through the cap, and then I'm tying it twice. You get? You're going to pass the needle with the through the thread twice, just like I did when I was sewing the frontal. Okay, so I'm going to just continue like that. For clarity, you're passing your needle under the weft and then through the cap, then underneath your thread, while so you can tie it. Jesus, I'm confused. But just watch what I'm doing, okay? This video is very, very explanatory. You don't need me to like explain it. You're just going to see the way I'm moving my hand. Pass it underneath the weft, then through the cap, and then you tie it. Okay? Yeah. So when you're getting to the end, you're going to continue sewing until you connect it to the next line. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So you're going to keep on sewing and raising the weft until you get to the next line. So when you're at the tip, you're going to pass your needle through the weft before you pass it through the cap. So when you, let me explain. If you're in beginning the sewing, you're going to pass your needle through the weft, and then when you're at the middle, you're going to pass it underneath the weft, and then when you're on the side, you're passing it through the weft again. Do you get? So once I'm at the end, I'm going to fold it. So folding it, you're going to pass your needle through the weft again to make it flat. That is the reason why you always have to pass it through the weft at the end and at the beginning, and then in the middle you're passing it underneath the weft. Do you understand? So for this wigging, my client didn't want me to cut her bundle, so I'm not going to cut, but on the necessary part I'm going to cut, which is on the top part, because you need to cut it to fit the remaining part of the cap. But some people cut their wigs when they are at the end. They do not fold like I do. So it all depends on what you prefer and what your client wants. So now I finished stitching the first bundle, and I'm going to go into the second bundle. As usual, you're just going to cut and unravel it gently. So adding the second bundle, you're going to watch what I'm doing as well. I'm going to pass it through the tip of the bundle, and then I'm going to sew it very close to where the first one ended, and then I'm going to drag it towards where the first one ended. Do you get? So it's not separated, but it looks like it's together, is one bundle that I'm sewing. So now I'm done with the second bundle again. I'm going with the third bundle. So watch closely what I just explained as I'm going to do it with the third bundle. So now we are on the last track. I'm going to fold the track close to the net that we sewed. Did I say net? The frontal. Don't put it on top. It should just be side by side with it. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. It should be side by side as if they are twins, like they are on the same track. So as you're sewing, you're not going to sew on top of the frontal, so you do not have a bumper wig. You're going to sew it close to it. I'm going to continue sewing until I'm done. So this is what the hair looks like. It looks like they are on the same track, not on top of each other. So I have very little bundle left. I'm going to cut it off before I finish up sewing. So if you're cutting off your wefts, do not cut under, cut on top so you do not cut your hair. Do you get? That is what is left of the 3 bundles. So I'm going to try and fix in the last tip. This is very important. Make sure you cut it exactly on the space that is left. Do you get? So at the end here, we're passing it through the weft, no longer under the weft, we're passing it through the weft. So I'm going to sew it 3 times to like secure the last stitch. Do you get? After that, I'm going to cut it and then I'm going to tie it as usual. And ladies and gentlemen, this is how you make a frontal wig. Next is to take off the wig from the canvas head, and then we're going to be cutting this cap underneath the lace. If you're cutting it, guys, please put your hand underneath to protect the lace. If you cut the lace, be careful. Just gently cut it off. Do not rush. Take your sweet time. And don't cut it too close, okay? Just separate it from the whatever. But anyways, this is what our frontal wig is looking like, and this is how you make a frontal wig. Let me know if you want to know how to sew a band on your frontal wigs, and I'll post it in the next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.